Hello and welcome to part 2 of this year's 13th annual Brand X Reviews Halloween special. Yesterday we were talking about the 2002 film 28 Days Later and the 2007 movie 28 Weeks Later. This time we're talking about this year, 2025's 28 Years Later. Now, I did do a review of this at the time when it came out back in June, but I've had time to reflect since then, and also my co-reviewer The Core has now seen this, so we've both got plenty of things to say and also talk about the upcoming movie The Bone Temple. So enjoy. Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews, and on this one we have The Core.
Word to your buff.
Yeah, so yesterday we were talking about 28 days later and 28 weeks later. There's no 28 months later, but there's 28 years later, which came out this year, a few months ago. I went to see it at the cinema. It didn't take long to come out on home video. It was like 3 months, which is crazy. So then I gave you the opportunity to watch it, and I was happy to re-watch it a few months later because I really enjoyed it. So what did you think of 28 years later?
28 dicks later, because you get very obsessed with the willies every time they're fucking on screen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it was like not just it was literally the elephant in the room. It was like an elephant's trunk, you know, like that was just way too in your face. Was that those?
It's like, oh, there's another one. Oh, it's like, calm down.
I'm not the only. Don't gaslight me, Core. I'm not the only one to make a big deal out of this. It was totally unnecessary. The size of those dongers. What we're referring to.
You've always been like, oh, you know, you'd be paying no attention to the film, and then there'd be a pair of tits, and you're like fixated. Like now it's the other way around with you. It's like as soon as there's a giant willy on screen, you're like, oh.
I was in no way aroused. I was disturbed. So and jealous.
And that's his story, and you're sticking to it.
Exactly, but the point is, obviously, in this movie, there are zombies that just run around naked, and they've just got massive willies. That's pretty much the end of the review. So thank you very much for watching. Yeah, no, seriously, what did you think of the film anyway?
I liked it. I can understand why some people don't. Like, it is very stylistic, like, especially at the start, where it's, like, clearly trying to build, like, an atmosphere and, like, a mood and, like, put you in a certain mindset for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically got all these, like, weird shots, and they're, like, basically playing this, like, weird, it's like a poem, but it almost sounds like a song. And it's really distorted, so you can't quite hear the words clearly, but you know, they're kind of doing that to like build this sense of like, you know, like drudgery and like marching and like all this kind of stuff, you know, like building up to something.
Yeah, it was.
So that's maybe part of what people didn't like about it.
Yeah, and it was in the trailer that I think it was a Rudyard Kipling poem, and it got like recorded for something, and that's what they used.
It's like a really famous recording of it as well.
Yeah.
Like they deliberately messed it up a little bit, so it's like harder to hear and more of like a, you know, like, you know, like you're hearing on like a really like messed up, like poorly tuned in radio kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, never thought that. But yeah, did it help that before you saw the film that I prefaced it by saying it's not the film that you see, it's not what you'd expect from watching the trailer, and it's not quite what you got with the previous two films. Do you think that helped maybe with your expectations a bit?
I don't know, it's a little hard to say because I don't think I'd watched the trailer before seeing it. Because watching the trailer after it's like, well, yeah, like, looks fine. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit hard to say, is that one?
Because I know for me, I'd heard bad things about it earlier before it came out from sources that I kind of trusted, and again saying this isn't the film that the trailer portrays. Aaron Taylor Johnson's barely in it, and he was kind of a selling point because he's like a big actor that everybody likes. It's more about the boy, which I didn't quite expect from the trailer, and the zombies were kind of like a joke.
and that it was like a bit slow and there wasn't much that happened in it and so on, just things like that. But it was when I watched, I think, Mr. H reviews, who I generally go to him as a one of the most trustworthy, because you're not going to have 100% agreement with any reviewer, but with him it's a high percentage of me usually if he recommends a film, and because he's quite specific as well. And for me that was like, right, well, I will actually give it a chance. So I went to see it at the cinema, and I was really happy with it. I did my own review at the time as well, so I won't go too much. But I know it was a film.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh, I would say it's definitely a film that's more of like a coming of age story in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, you do follow the child, like the kid. What's his name?
I can't remember myself.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, you can look it up. For me, the name escapes me. But yeah, basically, it's the kid's journey. Like you say, it's a coming of age film, because at the beginning of the film, he is pretty much a child. He plays with toys, but obviously he's been taught certain things like how to fire a bow and arrow and so on, and he's been kind of elevated as being somebody who they have a lot of faith in, even though he's a bit younger than a kid would normally be allowed to go out into the mainland to kind of hunt zombies and kind of experience it and so on. So he's a good kid, and he's quite competent, but when he does go out there, certain things happen, and if his dad hadn't have been, I mean, obviously if his dad hadn't have been there, but he's not quite as capable as you'd hoped he would be, even in the context of being a child. But that changes through the movie because his mum is ill and she's got a brain tumour. This isn't apparent until later in the film, and he's dealing with his mum dying, and eventually does, and that changes him, and he becomes a man. So, like you say, it's a coming of age film in that sense.
Just like I say, is I think partly what they were doing with the whole, like, because another thing people like criticise is like the Jimmy Savile ninjas at the end. It's like, yeah, it's like the kids growing up, like these freaks like haven't.
Yeah, that's a
like
good point.
They're still acting like freaking Power Rangers and stuff. Like, what the hell?
That's a good point. That's a good contrast, to be fair. Yeah, because that's more. I mean, that is for this review, but I mean that's more for the next film. That story. So yeah, basically, the film starts with it's about a kid called Jimmy, but it's only the first scene of the film, and it's set during the outbreak, and then there's a few references throughout the film. Like, obviously, the film is set 28 years later, and you see references to some stuff that Jimmy has done. Like, there's a person that's been hung upside down with the name Jimmy carved into him, presumably carved into him while he was still alive. But now he's infected with like a bag over his head and kind of tortured. So you get the impression there's somebody called Jimmy who's not a nice person. And the kid at the beginning of the film was called Jimmy back in 2002, and this is now 2030. So at the very end of the film, like you say, there's the Jimmy character returns, and obviously he's like in his mid to late 30s or whatever. And there's like a bit of a theme there that he hasn't grown up. He's basically got some kind of arrested development. He kind of models himself over childhood memories. Like, there's the Teletubbies reference, there's a Jimmy Savile reference, which is particularly twisted because Jimmy Savile is a former children's presenter who, about a year after he died of old age, it came out that he was like a massive child abuser. And like,
it's like that is not the person you want to be emulating, especially not when you're like recruiting kids.
Yeah.
But then again, like you said, nobody would know that.
Yeah.
But honestly, he's fucked up enough that he might not even bother him.
Yeah. So obviously this guy Jimmy hasn't grown up, even though he's an adult, whereas, like you're saying, the child, literally a child, has become a man in effect. In that
like, literally, there's like a scene right at the start of the film, if you're paying attention, where he's like playing with like a red Power Ranger, and then he seems to make the conscious decision not to take the toy with him, but to like leave it on his bedstand.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, he's going out to do something important today. He's like going to go and kill an infected. Like, it's time to put aside childish things.
Whereas,
Like in the final scene when they're like, "Oh, can we come and help you?" and then they're like doing backflips and stuff, and like, you know, basically like, they're not fighting very effectively. Like they're being like really like kind of reckless and stupid and like showy.
like the Power Rangers.
Like that definite like difference between them.
And I think the Power Rangers thing is intentional because they're dressed in different colours like the Power Rangers, and it's like because a lot of people thought that film was like clumsy and goofy. Oh God, they cocked up with that. It's like, no, that's the point of it. It's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's a good point. I never even thought about that. The contrast between the Jimmy character, like not growing up, and the child character literally growing up, even though he's still a child. And that's going to continue into the next film. So one thing as well about the film in general. Well, to be fair, there's so many things you can kind of say about it, but you've got the situation where there's the Bone Temple as well, where you've basically got like a crazy old man out there, like off in the distance, that is talked about and not talked about in a very charitable way. He's kind of seen as being a bit crazy and dangerous, and he's built this like.
And you can kind of understand it, because before we explain the Bone Temple, like the only interaction they had with him was going up to see what was going on, and why there's this massive fire burning, and they just see this like huge field of dead people all laid out in neat little rows, and he's there like dragging them onto this massive pyre like one at a time, and then he just stops and he's there in all like the PPE, like the apron and the massive gloves and like face mask and stuff, and he just stops and gives them a like cheerful little wave, and they're like, "What the fuck am I looking at? Like, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like, so you can kind of see why they're like, "What the hell is this crazy bastard doing? Like, why has he got the corpses? Like, why is he, like lined him up like this? Like, what the fuck's going on?"
Yeah, because the optics of that are a little bit tricky, but in reality, the guy is doing it in honor of the dead. He's doing it because he looks at each person as an individual that passed away, even if they're an infected person potentially. Because even I thought that. I remember when the trailer came out and I saw Ralph Fiennes. He looks like he's covered in blood, but it's actually iodine to protect him from the infection because he's a doctor. And basically, from the trailer, I think I even said this to you. I had a theory that the infected in the movie had maybe evolved so much that they could control themselves and not be as crazed. But maybe they just like evolved into some like really brutal society. That's not the case, but there was some interesting stuff with the evolution. We'll talk about that. So, do you want to tell us? And I'm talking a bit. Do you want to tell us what the three different types of zombies there are in this film?
Well, there's the Topher type, which are like big fat bastards that just crawl along the ground like eating everything.
Yeah, kind of like slugs. A bit like a human version of Jabba the Hutt. Not very threatening.
Or like pigs, like, the whole like they'll eat fucking anything.
Yeah.
Like they're like basically the slow-mos or something they call them, like the slow ones. Like they're kind of creepy, but like they're not that dangerous unless you're like not paying attention, because then they can kind of like mug you kind of things. Like they will sneak up on you.
Yeah. Then there's the normal zombies, so kind of pretty much like the ones that we come to recognise from the previous films.
Mm.
And then the other kind, which is the Core's favourite, and that is the alphas, because they've got massive dicks. There's no denying that. So, they're really
you
tall.
Have to check every single time they're on screen.
Yeah.
Although I am afraid I have to break this to you. The big willies, they were prosthetics.
Oh,
they
yeah.
weren't having big willies around the children.
Yeah, I was pretty sure. I mean, they weren't even erect. They were like flaccid, and they were still like just huge. But
there's nothing about this. He's just like curious.
Yeah, but yeah, they are, as well as the willies being massive. All jokes aside, the alphas, as they're called, they are really tall as well, very strong.
Yeah, and they're like kind of like controlling a lot of the other like infected.
Yeah, they seem to even
Because
be
there's
able.
that, like, again, like when people say, "Oh, it's not like scary," it's like it is kind of creepy, like when they're like hiding in the house, and you can just see the massive bastard on like the hillside, and like the other fucking zombies he's got, like, you know, waiting for his command kind of thing. That is like fucking creepy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how the fuck are they getting out of this one?
Even the birds as well, he seems to be able to control the birds, like telepathically or whatever. And they even kind of show something similar, what looks like that's happening in the trailer for the next one as well. So they seem to be like in sort of connection with the elements as well. But
I mean, it's either that or it's like something symbolic, like they know like where the alphas go. There's going to be like a meal afterwards.
true.
But yeah, it does look very much like he's actively controlling them.
Yeah. And then there's a bit where they're being chased across the the footpath.
Causeway.
Yeah, and they're being chased, and they have to the people that are at the gates have to like basically send like loads of arrows into. In fact, there's such a good scene, you even like rewound it to like replay that scene because you enjoyed it so much. So
I mean, it was like a pretty fucking effective scene because he's like this fucking massive bastard just like gaining on them, like, and it's like, well, if he catches up with them, they're fucked. Like, this guy is fucking huge.
yeah, and you were like, this scene is awesome. Let's just rewind it, watch it again.
And you were like, oh yes, let's watch it again. No
Joke.
complaints from you whatsoever.
In truth, it was because your PS5, you messed the control up and you
Yeah,
accidentally.
I pressed the wrong button. I'm like, damn, it's some rewinding.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, so one problem not having like a proper remote for those things.
Yeah.
But that is nothing to do with the actual film. So
Yeah. There's another interesting
but
element.
yeah, there's like the sorry just to interrupt you, but like the kind of summing them up as like berserkers, like the like Swedish guy,
Oh, yeah.
and that is kind of like a pretty good like analogy of them. They are just like these huge like, you know, rage barbarian fucking guys.
Yeah. So another aspect of this film that's pretty cool that as I was watching it, I wasn't thinking about it. It was more afterwards because that's what's quite good about this film. It gets you thinking about it afterwards, and it's something that you can talk about. That there's things in this film that although the first film when it came out was set when it came out, when you're watching this film now, this is about a world where something happened in 2002 in the world we live in, and that world has gone off on a different path. It's almost like a what if 28 years later kind of thing. So things like the rest of the world has kind of continued on despite the ending of the last film where the infected gets into France. It does say that the virus was fought back from mainland Europe. So again, that's not.
I'd just like to think they just killed all the French people, like nuked them.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's that many French people in France, to be honest, but yeah, that was basically something that, again, kind of strongly suggests that 28 years later, weeks later, is canon still. But point is anyway, so this is a world that's alternate to ours. That although it's probably set around about the year 2030. I mean, it's 28 years later and it happened in 2002, so that's 2030. So roughly around the same time as where we are. There's certain things in this movie that they do to make a point that the world that they live in is an alternate timeline. The things that we have experienced in the last 28 years, they have not experienced. So the death of the Queen, to them, that never happened. I mean, she would be dead in that world anyway, but the country hasn't continued. But as far as they're concerned, in their mind, the Queen is still the Queen. She's still alive. They've got a portrait up. And there's also the tree that's on Adrian's wall. If you've seen the film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, there's a scene early on in the film where a boy is running up a tree to escape from Guy of Gisborne and some other people, and Robin Hood kind of goes in and saves the day, and the child escapes. In reality, that is a real tree, or it was, until a couple of years ago when some idiots vandalised it and cut it down.
Yeah, because that would be a cool trick to do.
Yeah.
Oh wait, now I'm going to jail for a couple of years, and probably deserve it for being a knob.
Yeah, I don't even know if they got that, to be fair. I can't remember what happened, but the tree will grow back, but
I
it'll
think they've
take...
got a couple of years, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah. Well, the tree will grow back, but it'll take like 100 years or something, from what I understand. So we're never going to see that again, but in our lifetime. But point is, anyway, it's very well known that tree got cut down, and it shows it in this film as still standing in the year 2030. So it's a way of saying this is a different world to the one that you've lived in. The things you, the audience, have experienced don't exist in this world, and they've not experienced it. So there's a reference to smartphones and delivery drivers, no, online, being online, and the kid says what is online. They're not going to know that because they've not experienced that. So another point is as well that there's the Jimmy character has kind of moulded himself on Jimmy Savile. He's got the long hair, he's got the tracksuit and the bling jewellery and so on. He probably doesn't know what we know that came out in 2012, that Jimmy Savile was a child abuser. To him, Jimmy Savile was just a cool TV, a kids' TV show entertainer that everybody loved because he doesn't know any better. He's misguided. But we, the audience, know the evil that he's, running with, basically. So that's a theme that is in this movie, the alternate timeline. And that's something that we're going to see more in the next film, from what I understand. Any thoughts on that?
Not on that specifically, but I do have some thoughts on other parts of it. Like, we were talking about, like, the first film, like, how it was, like, stylized in the... Like, where it was shot, almost like it was shot on VHS kind of thing. Like, it was, a bit low quality.
Yeah.
Like, deliberately. And I know some people have complained about the... people say it's like a Matrix thing. I don't necessarily think it's that. I think that's a very misleading, because it's not like at any point like somebody jumps up and like it freezes and like whizzes round them as they like karate kick like a zombie or anything. It's more like sometimes when somebody gets shot, they'll like do this like weird thing where like the image is kind of like almost like panoraming around them, to show like the arrow going through the head kind of thing. And I know that was partially done, like almost like it's basically like one of those panoramic things you do with like a smartphone. Because that's how they actually like shot those. They had like a rig of like multiple like smartphones to like shoot that kind of like all round kind of effect they did. So again, it's not like the the stylistic thing.
Yeah, some people, I think people just overreacted. It was kind of weird and like unnecessary potentially, but so I think people were just turning it. I don't
think it didn't take me out of it though. It's like say it's not like at any point like somebody jumps up in the air and it's slow-mos and then they fly kick a zombie and then a zombie comes out with guns and they do the backwards dot. It's like, it's not that. Like, that's, if you're thinking that's what's happening, like, it's not.
Yeah, and the same people probably love the Resident Evil movies as well, which do things like that. So
yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
Like I said, I just put that down to like just like the like oddly low quality kind of grungy feel of the first one. Like, it's a deliberate choice. Like, it's not that distracting. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it is Danny Boyle as well. He's quite a good visual director.
Yeah, like I say, a lot of the weird stuff at the start is building like atmosphere, like the creepy shit. Like we get the like red night vision kind of images of the infected like eating like a deer and stuff, and it's fucking creepy as anything. But like the way their eyes like reflect in the light and stuff, it's like, oh the fuck.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of good sort of bits like that. And like you were saying in the last video, there's bits where it has like flashbacks, and it clearly shows flashbacks to 28 weeks later, where the military is shooting people.
Like, like the weird little flashbacks to like some like old like
war movies.
You know, like war movies and like kind of medieval stuff where they're like firing arrows at like invaders and stuff, because they have gone back in like a lot of ways into almost like a medieval mindset.
Yeah, and there's also a little bit of a sort of post Second World War kind of thing going on as well, where the people that are on the island kind of live in that kind of way, and they seem a bit more traditionally sort of conservative, I guess. I mean, I don't know, not to get like political, but you know what I mean. And more about sort of family values and so on.
Yeah, 'cause strangely enough, when you don't have like a Starbucks in every corner and like you know, the freedom to just be like that kind of insufferable ass, you probably would be more worried about like, what's going to happen with the next generation? How are we going to feed ourselves this week? You know.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I don't think pronouns really matter when something's trying to eat you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there are some funny bits in this film as well. Obviously, it looks at sort of modern culture. So there's a bit where one of the Swedish soldiers, there's a bit where like a Swedish soldier comes and like sort of gets shipwrecked on the island and realises he's kind of screwed. But he's showing the kid his phone before the battery dies, and he's showing a picture of his girlfriend, and obviously she's like a modern day female with all Botox and lip filler and stuff. And when the kid sees it,
he's like, "What the fuck's up with her?" He's like, "What the hell are you talking about? She's beautiful." It's like, "Oh, we have a girl like that in the village. Like when she eats shellfish, like her face goes really weird." And he's like, "Fuck off."
Yeah, yeah, I like that scene. So some pretty good like bits in it like that. So there's a good mix, because you had that a little bit with the first two films, especially the first film, as well as like as grim as it was and unrelenting, it still had like funny moments in it.
Yeah, it's got like the bit like, especially when his mum's like going a bit nuts, she's occasionally referring to like the kid as dad. Like, so half the time he's like being referred to as dad, and it's part of the reason I keep forgetting his name.
Yeah.
And like the Swedish guy is like, okay, I understand incest is probably happening over here,
Yeah.
but this seems unlikely. He's looking at this like 12-year-old kid and this like middle-aged woman calling him dad. He's like, yeah, the ages aren't adding up. That's quite a funny moment.
Yeah. So yeah, just like I said, it's a really enjoyable film. It's not quite what I was expecting. Would I have preferred to have got the kind of film that I was expecting? Because I was expecting it to be more of like a thriller, like the first film. I don't know. I'm happy enough with it. I'm glad it kind of subverted my expectations, but not in a Star Wars: The Last Jedi kind of way. It wasn't done in a screw you.
I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, it's not done in like a screw you, forget the past kind of thing to like the existing fan base. I think they knew that they were subverting expectations a bit, but I think that they knew that they had a good film on their hands, and I realise it's not going to be for everybody. But at the same time, I'm glad I gave it a chance. I just think that some people have written the film off given what they've heard. And they might, rightly so, they might have written a film off that they're not going to enjoy, but there's a chance they might have written off a film that they would actually enjoy if they watched it. I'm glad that I listened to people like Mr. H reviews, and I think Jeremy Jans, as well. He's not as much of a shill like he maybe used to be back in the day. He seems a bit more of a sort of down-to-earth reviewer who's worth watching for reviews like that, because like I say, without that I would have just taken what I'd heard and written it off. I think it was the same for Paul Cage, who I know watches the channel. I seem to remember he'd heard bad things, and I did say to him before it, I think you'll enjoy it, and he went, and he ended up going twice, I think, to see it.
Yeah, like I say, it's not exactly what you're expecting, but not in a bad way. At least I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like not really a thriller. Like, it's got like really tense, like dramatic moments, though. It's not like it's like, you know, just them sat around like, you know, monologuing all the time or navel gazing. It's certainly not that.
Yeah. So last few minutes, we'll just say the trailer for the next film. It's just called The Bone Temple. Is it 28 years later, The Bone, or just The Bone Temple? I can't remember. I think it's.
I mean, they're kind of getting out of the point where they're going to have to stop the.
Yeah. Yeah.
28's whatever's, because.
Yeah, it
like
does.
28 centuries later, that's it. It can get a little bit crazy. 28 decades later.
Yeah, could go back and fill in some of the gaps with months maybe, but.
I mean, I'm certainly interested in where they might be going, because, like I said, they built like a very interesting world, like like the island, for example, has this like weird, almost weirdly like Wicker Man like kind of atmosphere
Yes, that's a good
to it, where
yeah.
they're like wandering around in the masks and stuff.
Did I say that to you, or have you just thought that independently? Because that's exactly what I think.
I can't remember.
I think this
But
film
it definitely does have that feel to
I
it.
think this film does have inspiration of that, because even the scene where you first see the Alpha emerge at the top of the hill, to me, that reminded me of the sort of chilling bit where Edward Woodward's brought up in the original, and there's the big giant Wicker Man like on the horizon, and it's like really giant and like jarring because of the size of it. It sort of reminded me of that in this film, some of the visuals. But yeah, no, that's I thought that as well. So that's what I mean. It's a good film in the sense that we can just talk for like ages and still keep coming up with like thoughts about it that we haven't like, even thought up before. And you've said things in this review like about the child has grown up yet Jimmy hasn't, and he's the adult and he's the child. That sort of contrast, things like that.
Yeah.
But I hadn't thought.
And also stuff like, when I was saying in the 28 weeks later review, I'd kind of come back to this, but like the concept of, the dad pursuing the kids around London.
Oh yeah, where were you
There's
going?
also
With
an element of this with like the Alpha kind of going after like the kid. Like not
Yes.
the kid that you're following around, but
The
like
baby.
the little baby that gets born from like an infected woman.
Yeah,
It's got like a little bit of that because he like straight up like seems to be going after them because of that.
something else I never thought of. Yeah, that's similar to that first to the last film, like the infected going after their own offspring, and to what end? Well, I mean, the first film he wants to bite them and infect them, I guess, but it's interesting because there's an infected woman and she's walking around pregnant and she eventually gives birth, and there's a moment where she's giving birth where she's actually not even concerned with killing people as these zombies usually are. She just wants to have the baby, and she accepts help from the woman while it's happening. And there's even when the baby's born, it's not evidently not rage infected. It just seems like a normal baby. That's then taken back to the island, but the doctor that we were saying, played by Ralph Fiennes, he even makes a reference to like kind of gross the placenta being like something that it kind of cured the rage virus from being transferred on. That it's got like sort of miraculous like healing nature to it.
I mean, it's actually a thing, I think. So it's like, it's there to protect the baby from infections and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not like an expert in these sort of things, but I do think it is like an actual,
Yeah.
like there's some science behind it. Like, even I don't know if it really worked that way, and you can't really test it with, the rage virus, because the rage virus doesn't exist.
Yeah,
And that would be immoral as fuck to inflict a child with that.
I think the HIV virus has been known to be passed from mother to unborn child, but from memory, I could be wrong about that. But I'm pretty sure that can happen.
I'm not saying it's like it protects them from everything, but I think it is supposed to protect them from some stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's the like idea behind this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's say,
what else was there I was going to say? We've got Happy Eater. Takes it right out of it. That closed down in the 90s. God damn it.
Yeah, it was me that mentioned that bit of a. I suppose there could have just been like a Happy Eater that had just been left derelict for years leading up to the thing. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they were vanished and absorbed into Little Chefs.
Yeah, they were bought out by the Little Chef.
Yeah, Happy Eaters, I remember, because it was Happy Eaters and there were Little Chefs, and the Happy Eaters were better because they had playgrounds connected to them, I seem to remember. But there's one of those in this. So yeah, well, like I say, we could talk all day about it. Obviously, the trailer for the next one looks pretty good, and maybe they are going to go back to it being like a sort of more of a not action orientated, but a little bit more quicker paced, adventurous movie. With the next one, kind of more akin to the original two. And Cillian Murphy's supposedly back in this as Jim. So we'll see how that comes into play. So yeah, any final thoughts?
Yeah, like I say, I'm definitely interested in seeing where it goes from here. Like, the world they've set up, like, interests me. Like saying, you know, the village having this like weird Wicker Man vibe, and we know there are other settlements out there, but the dad just says, no, don't go near them. Like, we don't need anything from them. So it's like, okay, what are these other settlements like then?
Yeah.
And like, if the infected are evolving and changing, and like, you know, there's different stuff going on. It's like, okay, well, what's going on with that? Where's that final form going to end up? You know?
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it there anyway. We'll be back tomorrow, and well, obviously, you'll know what we'll be talking about tomorrow when the videos drop. We don't announce these things. We just put the videos up, and it is what it is. But we'll be doing a video every night leading up to Halloween night itself. So keep checking back this week as we lead up to the 31st of October for Halloween night itself. And yeah, we'll say thank you very much for watching.
So we're done talking about those movies, but come back tomorrow and every night leading up to Halloween as we continue the 13th annual Brandex Reviews Halloween special.
But you get enough out of this film to know what they're doing there, because Jimmy is a character. Oh, for fuck's sake! Hang on, FB's ringing me. One moment, let me just stop that. Hang up. Right, so don't worry, I'll still kept that in. So basically, hang on, I'm just going to stop recording.